This is the North End. This is the North End.
Hello and welcome, North Enders. It is time for reviews and previews and some still to play stuff. It's people trying to catch up on football these days. It's a little bit of madness. I am here with JP, Zaz, and Connie. Paul's on vacation. We miss you, buddy. But
Luke's on permanent vacation.
No, yeah, we haven't seen Luke. Luke is trying to figure out his life. So
He's MIA.
He's MIA. We're gonna go around the horn a little bit. Check on the lads. JP, how are you, mate?
I'm doing all right. You know, it's just another day in sunny California. Yeah, just a nice cool 65 degrees.
Ooh, that's cozy, actually.
Yeah,
that's
it's beautiful, you know?
Yeah, you prick. Zaz, good to have you back, mate. You are in a different time zone than us at the moment, so you're a trooper. How are you, sir?
I'm great, mate. Firstly, I found myself singing that this is the North End just to myself,
Nice.
just randomly.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's my hook. That's my hook, by the way. That's me
I
singing.
thought it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm great. 1:30 a.m. over here in London, England. But
Cool.
You know what? Anytime is good to talk some football, so let's do it.
Oh, I love it, man. Love it. That's fantastic. Connie, it's been a bit since you've been with us, but good to see you,
Been a bit,
mate.
man. Good to be here.
You've been busy. How's things?
I've been on the go, man. I've been doing this, doing that, and I was like, you know what? Can't wait to get back on the pod, chat some football with the fellas.
Yeah, good stuff. Champions League games today. PSG.
man.
PSG knocked out again, you know.
But honestly, though,
not surprised. I don't know why anybody would be. This is a team that plays in a shit league. Don't get me wrong. There are some good players in the league and there's some good teams, but it is not competitive week in, week out.
No.
To go to play against Champions League teams in that context, you're going to lose. You're like, and to expect to win just because you've bought old players who are, well, I guess there's a couple of youngsters on there as well, but Mbappe, fantastic, but. It's just not. Yeah, it's not sustainable. No. What they're trying to do is not going to work. It's just not.
Well, they're trying to do like the Galactico thing, but you're right. They have a lot of world class players on paper. Even if you look at their bench, you're like, this team could potentially win the Champions League. But when you play against well subpar teams in a subpar league, and then you come to a Champions League game and you're just getting walked off the park, 2 + 2 = 4. You play in that league, so your levels are gonna be there. And then when you come up to this, like a Bayern Munich or even today a Real Madrid, you're nowhere near it.
With like some players in that side,
Yes.
who have done it all. Modric is on form, looked really good in this game, and but Benzema with a hat trick, who he's on fire this season. He's ridiculous. He just took
potential
over.
Ballon d'Or this year.
I would say that if it wasn't in that league, I think that league I still struggle. Again, it's not as brutal as maybe Ligue 1 is, but there's still that
gap
between the top 4 or 5 teams and then everybody below them. You can still lose in the Premier League to Burnley, as Spurs know that, even though they're in 17th, 18th.
But that's the thing Spurs do.
I gotta throw in the self-deprecation there, lads. It's
I respected that move. I respected that, Brad.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. Liverpool barely get by, lose for the first time at Anfield. Or sorry, Van Dijk has lost for the first time.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
So a couple of things. Firstly, I read a tweet today that says you can take Poch out of Spurs, but you can't take the Spurs out of Budgie.
You know what's stupid too is like he literally came out with a quote yesterday and saying like Spurs is my home. I want to be there. I love Tottenham, and then he goes and loses the next day basically.
Yeah.
And you can't write that shit.
He's out in the summer.
He's gone.
Yeah. He's gone for sure. Well, if we lose Conte, we got a manager that'll come in at least.
Yeah, and
come
then
back.
I'll go to United. You guys will be alone.
Still on that game though, there's something poetic about what just happened today, because I know 14 people who didn't get World Cup tickets, including me. So you know what? The Qatari invested club can just not win the Champions League because that's something sketchy going on when no real fans are allowed to go to the World Cup. So you know what? I can't cry any rivers for PSG. And for Liverpool, listen, we never like losing at home. We don't even like losing anymore. We were on a 13
it's a long run,
streak.
yeah. That's why I was surprised.
Yeah. But if we were going to lose one game, Klopp said it in the press conference yesterday. He's like, the art of football is to know which games to lose.
Yep.
And you know what? Like,
he does that well, doesn't he?
Yeah, and plus, like, our XG was like 3 point something.
Yeah, you guys hit the post 3 times, or like the the crossbar, and then the post twice, or something.
Yeah,
but that was a...
And props to Inter as well. They played well. Inter played well, no doubt.
Stupid red card, right? That they got at the end there that kind of screwed themselves. Had they not gotten the red card, it might have been able to get another goal and put it to the sword, at least get it to extra time.
But I think the bottom line is this: in the Champions League, as long as you go through, that's all that matters. Unless it's the final, it's just pushing forward, right? And good to Liverpool.
Yeah, for sure. Loving the Champions League. I miss it, man. I miss it. I don't even watch it now because I miss it so much. Like when I watch it, I'm like, we're not in it anymore.
You say you miss it. You miss your team in it.
Yes, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I still watch it because it's great football to watch. Some of it is, and a lot of it is. Like the games are incredible. The level is amazing, and when your team is nowhere near it, it's depressing a little bit. And Connie, I know you're there this season, but probably not deservedly, but.
Oh no, dude, we're in it, but like I'm just waiting to get knocked out of it, and then I'm also waiting to not get into it next year. So
yeah, we're gonna get into that. The top 4 races heating up. There's lots going on. Let's get into the results first, then, lads. We're gonna bust that out. We got week 28. Brentford finally get the needed win. Newcastle going on a run, 8 games unbeaten.
Bless it, I hate them.
Ridiculous, and it's annoying because it's when they got brought in a new manager, and 8 games, and of course the transfer window that they did pretty well in the transfer window. I think the players they brought in have worked quite well. Drama at Manchester, if you want to call it that, is what I think most people predicted who had a brain that this was going to be the case. The result there. We'll get to that as well. And I included you in that, Connie, because I know that you didn't expect to get much out of the game. No. But we'll get to that. And then, of course, it's Everton looking really grim at the moment. We'll get into the result on that game as well. But nuts that they're potentially going to go down. And it's just not looking like there's a way out for that. We'll start with Leicester Leeds. Leicester beat Leeds 1-0. Who wants to start with this game?
Yeah, Harvey Barnes getting a goal there. He's a player that struggled with injury. Yeah,
when he plays, they're a much better team, aren't they?
They missed him on the wing a lot earlier this season when he was injured. But so Leicester get the win, but like Leeds, Jesus Christ, man! I know JP loves them, and I know he loves Bielsa, but like, what a terrible second season syndrome situation for them back in the Premier League.
Connie, I didn't even ask you if do you want to run these
sure, let's do it.
Time's sake, man. I just
why not, man?
Because you hadn't been here in a while, so I'll let you do it, buddy, and I'll get to chill out for a little bit.
Absolutely. So Leicester with a good 1-0 victory over Leeds. I think we all know they need that. Aston Villa hosting Southampton 4-0. JP, walk us through it. Must have been a nice little time in front of the telly, mate.
It was a great time. I was so happy I wasn't at the pub because me and my buddies have a rule, and that is every goal is a shot. Mm-hmm. So it would have been really rough if it's a goal from a corner where it doesn't touch the ground. It's 2 shots, and we almost had to take 1 or 2 of those. They would have been really bad for us. But the scoreline is flattering. It should have been 7 or 8-0.
I agree.
Yeah, it was a real frolicking. I really think Villa just looked like they were just playing with Southampton every time we attacked. There's been a few times this year when we play this well, attacking wise. Just a few weeks ago when we attacked Leeds, that 3-3 game, we just destroyed them, and then we kind of fell apart in the last 30 minutes. It was just so deadly this time. Coutinho is playing at the head of this diamond in like it's a 4-3-3, but it's like a 4-4-2 diamond, and he is just running the show.
Can I just quickly interrupt you here, JP? Ings to Watkins. How did you feel about that one?
Yeah, that's the question. You beat me to it, Brian. That was going to be my question. I love it. No, that was going to be my question.
Here's the big retort to that in a quick one. I'm super happy. I want that to happen. That is the first game all season that Ings and Watkins have scored together.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I was like, how do you feel about it? It must be like a bit
insane.
Like, that's finally.
They've combined for 2 goals, and it was the first game it's the first game where they ever both had a goal in it. They just haven't combined until this game. This is the first game when they actually looked legit.
You could
together.
argue
Even
Coutinho
last game.
pulls them together.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
Just
the
the way
glue.
that he plays them behind him.
Here's the thing: he doesn't pull them together. He lets them pull guys away. Then he gets a pocket of space. He collects the ball, and then they're in one-on-one situations.
And that's true, but I mean him pulling them together, and they're now
Yeah.
working together off the ball and opening the space for him to feed him, because that's having that
So
player, that playmaker.
I'm happy that the strikers are playing well. I'm happy the team is playing well. I hope we can go on a little run. We got a few games throughout the next few weeks that are definitely winnable games. I'd like to see us get up into the top 10, maybe even ninth spot. It'll be a push. But we'll see. You know, Villa is very Spursy right now, so we'll see.
Burnley hosting Chelsea, and Chelsea just take it to them 4-0. Big takeaway for me, how different of a team are Chelsea when they have Reece James on that right side, just putting the ball in. Like, even Havertz with a couple goals, Pulisic, like, this is the Chelsea attack that you want to see, that's been inconsistent. These are players that like, people forget Kai Havertz, 90 million, 9-0. So you expect to get that output from him, but a great result from them. Guys, I got to ask, and I said it earlier on the season, and this isn't one of those, Connie's bringing up old stuff here. You guys have heard me say it multiple times. Where does Romelu Lukaku fit in this Chelsea squad right now?
Fucking doesn't.
He doesn't, yeah.
Thank you. And let me ask you this.
Striker syndrome.
Does he fit in any elite Premier League team as a number 9?
No.
Correct.
Flat track bully.
Yes,
Thank you. No, he doesn't.
He does.
Thank God Azaz is here, man. He is a flat track bully.
We all agreed. All three of us.
No,
agreed.
I don't. I do not.
Oh, you don't agree, JP?
I think
you take him at Villa.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, maybe. You'd probably be all right there.
And I think you put him in Liverpool's team with a manager who will play with his strengths.
JP, he's a mid-table striker, perfect for
yes,
the club.
correct.
Perfect for
correct.
That's why he was so good at Everton.
He doesn't have a first touch. He doesn't play with pace. He can't play link-up play. He'll get nowhere near Liverpool or City. So there it is. Okay, Newcastle. Newcastle win again. Newcastle 2-1 hosting Brighton. Brighton with a bit of a dip, but Newcastle getting it done. Bri, talk to me about Newcastle as I take a bathroom break. You guys go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get Azaz's thoughts on it. Newcastle right now, just 8 in a row, unbeaten. Different teams since we sort of started the show with this a little bit. Different teams since the new manager came in and the new owners came in. What are your thoughts, Azaz? Do you think they're staying up at this point? Obviously, I think they're 16th, 17th, or 15th, 16th, looking pretty comfortable.
Yeah, they're actually closing in on Brighton. They're almost ready to pull away from that bottom, dogfight that's becoming like Leeds and Everton are being sucked into it. I know we'll get onto them. Yeah, you know what? For Newcastle, it's like they did what they had to do in the transfer market. They, what they had, they were probably maybe going down, if not just about ready to do the scrap. They brought in a bit of quality, and it makes a difference. Money talks in this league and in these kind of situations. So I'm not surprised at what they're doing. I'm not impressed with what they're doing, to be honest with you.
It's not like it's good football or anything.
No.
But it is Eddie Howe football, and Eddie Howe, if there's a manager in the league who knows, or who's been in the league, knows how to get the best out of players who may not be necessarily the best, he gets them playing as a team, and they understand what their roles are, and it's very organized. And you see that in Newcastle, which they didn't have before. They were just a bunch of individuals trying to run around trying to figure out what the fuck to do. So. At
the same time, Brighton's won 1 of their last 6 games.
Struggles at the moment.
They are falling quick. They are not getting results. They are possessing up the wazoo. Every game they have over 55 or 60% possession. And they can't finish. They can't get into a team's 18-yard box to save their life. It's
been their issue. They managed, I think, most of this season so far to get draws, to find a way to win or to draw 1-1. In the last, I think they had scored. Or up until recently, probably the most goals in the last 5 minutes of any team in the season.
It's almost like Graham Potter needs an attacking coach with him to say, okay, when we get near the 18-yard box, Graham Potter, shut up.
No, he needs attacking players, mate. Come on.
He has attacking players.
Who? Mope?
He's good. He's actually good.
He is not good.
Why?
He has missed sitters upon sitters upon sitters. Lamptey, yes, he's got a right wing back that's good. That is not
who he's playing at right mid right now.
That is not solving your goal problem when you have Mopé as your main striker. And he brings on Welbeck in the last 10 minutes of every game. And don't get me wrong, Welbeck he's probably the best goal scorer, like natural goal scorer in the team. But he's not.
Trossard's pretty good.
I love Trossard.
Trossard's nice.
Trossard's an offensive forward, but again, you need a striker on a team that creates the way they do in the spaces they do. You need somebody on the end of those balls.
I just noticed something about this match, guys. Basuma didn't play.
Yeah, he's been out.
He's been out, but he's been injured for a little bit.
No, he played against Villa. In the previous week. He played against Villa. It's literally the next game they took him out, and he was on the bench.
I wonder if it's to do with some of the off the field stuff or something like that. One quick thing about Mopé when we move on. Bry's right. He misses a bunch of chances, and then every 7 games he scores a worldie. It's like, make up your mind, mate.
Yeah, it's not good enough. Not good enough. Not for the amount of chances they create, which they had up until they.
Probably still, he gets
from an XG perspective. Their XG is one of the highest in the league, and it's amongst the top 5. Yeah. And if you have that kind of XG expected goals, it means the balls are getting into the box, the chances are created are good, and nobody's getting on the end of it.
Yep. Norwich hosting Brentford. Brentford 3, Norwich 1. Ivan Toney hat-trick, 2 from the spot. Are Brentford figuring it out, gentlemen, or is this just
it's one game?
It's one game.
It's Norwich.
It's one game. The shock of the week for me, guys, Wolves hosting Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace 2, Wolves 0. I was blown away. I actually brought in a Wolves defender in my fantasy team because I'm like, their back line is a fortress. They're like City, Liverpool.
It's been slipping a bit lately.
It has been. Like, what do we think? Is this going to continue? Can they turn it around? Are they another team where it's 1-0 FC? Where do the goals come from when you look at Wolves? Right?
I think with Wolves, I think there's these teams, you see it every year, where not like Leicester, who are in a pole position and choke, but it's also like teams, once they get safe, I don't know if their thinking at the start of the season was, let's avoid relegation. I would argue that maybe the same thing's happening to Brighton, because if this Brighton slump had started 2-3 weeks earlier, they'd be right in the relegation fight. And same with Wolves. Like, Wolves are better caliber of team, no doubt, but at the same time, maybe the season's just going to tail off. Who knows? Like, I feel like
I think so.
As if you're not in a relegation fight or you're not pushing for top 4, which they were a couple of weeks ago, I think the difference was that game they lost against Arsenal. So sorry, Brian.
That was a big one.
That was a dagger blow.
Yeah. Maybe that was the one where they were like, okay, we ain't coming top 4.
And they were the better team in that game, to be fair, up until the last 10
Agreed.
minutes where Arsenal kind of came onto them. Yeah.
I still think Wolves are a team that could really benefit from like a proper number 9. Jimenez doesn't.
Jimenez,
he would be perfect there. Jimenez not the same player he was post injury, right? And that was a major injury.
I think that's an injury that you don't come back from immediately anyway. Even though you're fit enough to play, psychologically speaking, going up for balls. And his bread and butter was heading the ball.
It was
getting in the box. Being physical. You're going to be tentative, and it's going to take a while to feel confident in that situation. I think.
I got a quick question for you guys. Where is Conor Gallagher going to go? Like, he's on loan, but he doesn't really get into the Chelsea team yet. Does he go on loan again, or does he get sold?
It depends what Chelsea do with their midfield next season. Because if Chelsea, because they have a lot of contracts running out, and if those contracts, even 1 or 2 of them, he's coming into that team and he's going to fight for a spot. That would be my thought. He's too good.
Is he good enough for a Chelsea team fighting for a top spot?
No.
If he's competing for a spot, and he can prove himself on the training ground, then I think he is ready to.
He's tailed off, guys. Second half of the season, he's really tailed off.
But so has Crystal Palace.
That's true as well.
Yeah, the whole team is good. Sorry, go ahead, Ezra.
Chelsea's model is to sell people as well.
Yeah.
So like and another thing is, who's even going to own Chelsea? Like, what's their financial situation going to be like? So I think a lot of that is up in the air.
No, I would agree.
Yeah.
Liverpool hosting West Ham. Liverpool again and again, 1-0. Azaz, walk us through it. What did you think of the performance?
Well, up till then, we were like showering goals, and then the West Ham game comes along, and then Inter after it. So there's talk of us going dry. Professional performance for a team chasing the championship, I would say. Obviously, at this point, we're still outsiders compared to Man City, but it's just about the wins. Same thing about yesterday. We lost, but we went through.
Done, yeah.
We just got to get it done. Loving Mane in this number 9 role.
I know.
I feel like it
suits him, doesn't it?
It does. And Diaz is just such a breath of fresh air as well, right?
Oh my God! Has he not? He's hit the ground running.
I feel bad for Jota a little bit, don't you? Though, like, because he's been so good this season, and even when he came in last season too, he's been one of your better goal scorers.
Yeah, so with Jota, he just happened to get an injury at the wrong time.
Is that what it is?
Would Diaz have even played as much if Jota wasn't injured? I don't know. When we signed Diaz, we actually had all 5 of them fit, and then Bobby and Jota ended up picking up injuries, so the 3 picked themselves, and it just worked out the way it is. And even Mo, like, he's not come back at the top of his form, and he hit 2 posts yesterday. I have no concerns about that because he's very similar to great strikers like Andy Cole and others who are just like, because he misses so many, he's going to keep scoring.
He'll just brush it off and go on a run again.
You
didn't put in that great striker list. You didn't put Andy Carroll.
Probably for a couple of reasons.
Liverpool legend.
Liverpool bust. 30 million on him, 16 on Suarez. How'd that work out? So you said no, Azaz, I want to touch on this because you say you're on the outside. You have a game in hand on City, and you're only 6 points behind them. That's a full-blown title race. So 6 points.
It's a full-blown. It's a full-blown title race. I meant more from like the bookies' perspectives. Like, Connie, like, you're a Man U fan. Like, you know what it's like. Like, we don't have that mentality at that level where you don't back your team when the team's legit, right? Like every title race, whether you're going up against the great Arsenal teams, Jose's Chelsea, even Mancini's City, you always were like, you have that confidence in your team, right? That's how we are, even though we've only won 1 title with Klopp and only won the 1 Champions League. We still feel confident. We believe. You should. Yeah.
It's a real good team.
We're all hoping for you, man, because we want a fucking title race so bad.
Well, I think it's on. It feels
like it. I think so. Yeah.
And I think most neutrals are probably pushing for Liverpool just because City's a machine, right? Mm-hmm. We move to the Sunday. Watford hosting Arsenal. Guys, Arsenal do it again. 3-2 Arsenal. Just, but they're winning. And they continue to win. On this YouTube channel podcast, I remember early on in the season, we were doing a pod, and it was like, this guy's not going to make it to the weekend. He's getting sacked. We were like, he's going to get sacked any day now. He's fully turned it around at Arsenal, and they're the heavy favorites to finish 4th right now. None of us saw this coming.
Yeah,
what happened?
I think I'll start with what I think is a big part of why they are where they are, and I think it's hard to argue. No, they're playing 1 game a week. They got knocked out of any cup competition months ago. So you're looking at a team here who's focusing on 1 game a week. They prepare for that game. They go in and they do a job. They're doing the job. They're doing it well. To be fair, I think Arsenal are playing quite well or quite good, but they're played against a Watford team here, and they still nearly didn't get it done. Watford are absolute crap, and you know, Connie, that they were able to beat you guys once and get a draw as well. They're
terrible.
They're a terrible team.
What does that tell you about us?
That was kind of my joke, but I just think I think Arsenal are good. I think they will struggle against Liverpool in the next time. That's the next game.
Of course.
And they'll be right there. I think it will be probably Arsenal Spurs, because Spurs will be in that same situation. They'll have 1 game a week for the rest of the season. Both teams doing that to try to get that 4th spot. I think the other teams are going to be clouded up there. Anyway, that's not what the conversation's about. But we started talking about Arsenal. So.
No, but I'm saying, like, I think getting rid of Aubameyang was a
good move for sure.
And Odegaard's been incredible. Saka's continued to step up, and Martinelli.
Get your mic back where it.
I mean, the fact that they found goals from some of these players who at the beginning of the season we didn't see where the goals would come from. Credit to Arsenal, credit to Arteta. They're doing well.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I'm going to say, like, if Saka and Odegaard and some of these younger players doing so well at the tail end of this season, I'm really interested to see what Arsenal are going to do next season, right? To me, this was a betting season for a young Arsenal team. To to
It's
me, they're
huge if they get the top
yeah,
four.
yeah.
It's huge.
If
Huge
they
for
get
them.
a top striker, and I don't know who this could be,
They're gonna get a striker.
and
Don't
they're
kid
going to
yourself.
get a striker, and they're going to get a striker, and they get maybe one solid center back or a legit holding mid that will kind of team with Party a little bit. I think this Arsenal team could upset the top 3 next year.
Oh,
I'm
come
really
on. That's
interested.
ridiculous.
No, dude. I mean, look at them.
I think
I don't know. I think they need. I need that. I mean, their center backs
How
are
far-
actually playing well. They need
You
wing
think they're that
backs.
far behind Chelsea? Really?
Yeah, they are. They're probably 2 or 3 players, but that's far
That's
because you
what I
need.
said. 2 or
They
3
know
players.
2 or 3 high caliber
to
players that
add
fit
to
in
it.
well.
I have to add this as well as Arsenal are arguably, or any team who's currently in 4th place, or where they are because of the teams around them have been kind of shit too.
True.
So
True.
you know, like to say that they're going to compete against the top 3 next season, that's nuts. Sorry, JP, I just think that's crazy.
It's okay.
I don't think it's possible at all. I think they'll probably finish 4th or 5th this season, and they'll probably finish 4th or 5th next season, and then maybe after another season they'll start to talk.
I
about
agree.
Getting in that conversation, it's not.
And you know what the key is, Bri? You know what the key is? Just getting the recruitment right in the next season.
Recruitment's
Like
huge,
they've done some good job. Like they've done some good work in the last couple of transfer windows, which we haven't seen from Arsenal. So if they keep trending that way, I think Bri's
where
right.
they finish will matter too. If they get into the
You got
Champions League, they will be much better chance of challenging for anything because they'll have.
You know who they should go and get?
Clout.
Fucking Weghurst. That fucking. God damn it! I can't think of anything right now. My brain
Weghurst is
just
at the
been-
right club. He's not an
No,
Arsenal
like,
player.
he's
Mate.
so good.
He's not that. He's
Let's
good.
see what
his touch is so good.
He's good for Burnley.
I don't know. Yeah, let's see
He
what
looks good
happens
on a
in the
Burnley team
summer.
that doesn't have a lot of teams with.
All right, we can move past this next one pretty quickly. Manchester Derby, Man City 4, United 1. Okay, we want to talk about the Spurs game, or are we good?
As you go first, rub it in a little bit.
We all have a go on this one.
Yeah.
Oh man, where do you even start? Like, so for me, obviously, you have the vested interest of like wanting one big rival to take up points off the title rival.
It's a tough one, right?
And you know, like from the way it started off, from like the first 4 minutes, you knew it's not going to go well. And then, you know, like United put a move together, show that they've got quality in certain respect, and like great finish by Sancho. I thought they should have attacked John Stones a bit more anyway, because he's a good defender, but he's not someone who likes people running, dribbling at him. But I think the thing that this game will always be remembered for is the thing that's been beaten over the head a billion times since Sunday, which is Man U gave up again. So that's 3 games to the biggest rival. So they gave up against Liverpool and we tapped them out. Like they tapped out and we tapped out. We were like, we don't want injuries. Obviously, there are people from the Liverpool fan base who were like,
can't wait to play 'em
get
at the
7,
weekend.
get 8. Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, Man City did the same thing again. And then this time, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1. And at 3-1, they just tapped out. And that's really, really worrying and strange to see.
Odd,
Strange to see.
I'll say this too, though. Like even before they tapped out, and I agree they did, and Roy Keane called them out as he should have. And there's no defending it. Even the manager tried to defend it, but I think he knows they did. But that back line and the performance, like Harry Maguire, Lindelof,
Shambles, man. He is not
all
a
4 of
top
them.
not a top
Tell us,
center,
like some of those goals, guys, like genuinely were a fucking calamity. Like watching them take place, they were all avoidable. Like the first 2, like De Bruyne's goals, you're like, how the fuck any mid-table defense in the Premier League could have handled it? It's just shocking. You got 80 million in one guy, 30 million, a $50 million right back who doesn't know his head from his arse, and you got this guy Telles. He passes the ball to De Bruyne, who puts it. It was first time maybe in my life I turned the game off at about the 70-minute
Funny,
mark.
I thought you didn't want to talk about this.
I see him getting redder, dude. You're
Now he's
legit
venting.
getting
I love
redder
it.
as it's going on. Your voice is getting louder.
The
You're getting
70-minute mark, first time maybe ever. I turned it off. I said, I don't even want to watch this. I'm embarrassed. It was
interesting,
shocking.
Connie.
Men versus boys.
I want to ask you a little bit about how you started, because I do think, you know, the Sancho goal came early. I thought the shape looked really good. I thought it looked to me like there was a bit more, without Ronaldo on, it looked a bit more organized.
Yeah, agreed.
And it looked a bit more like I think what we had seen before he had come into the team. What happened? Why did it fall off so heavily? It seemed like everything was
I could
going
spell it out for you. I could
Just their defense.
Our defense in our midfield
Yeah,
are
midfield is
are
probably-
a mid to lower mid-level mid and defense. So I like Alanga. I think he had an off game. Bruno Sancho's looking good. There was 3 players, maybe 4, because I don't know if you can blame De
Why is
Gea.
he-
And the rest of them I'd bin off. I wouldn't even have them there next season.
But
All of them.
I'd say what's his name? Did he start? Sorry, I'm just looking at the
Bruno?
McTominay.
Yeah, Bruno and Pogba were the front
So
two.
Pogba, I actually thought Pogba played well.
I thought he was not bad.
I don't know why he was taken off. I thought him coming off was a mistake.
You know why? Because the amount of movement that Ragnick wants from somebody in that position, you see it in a Liverpool team, and
But
you
he
see
had
it in a
good
City
transition,
team.
man. He was playing really high up the pitch, and when you guys won the ball back, he was the one transitioning the ball. He was doing it well.
Against City or Liverpool or any high elite level European team, Ragnick wants his team, and it's the way even like a Klopp or a Tuchel, you need to be constantly moving. Pogba
You
doesn't
also
put
need
it.
to fucking learn how to counterattack and not
exactly.
not try to go at.
But
us
he's
and
not a
stuff.
counterattack player either, though. Like, and he won't do the hard yards, right? So
Yeah,
it's.
fair.
I don't know that. Again, you know how we talk about Lukaku, and I think later on as the season gets closer, I'd like to genuinely talk about how Paul Pogba's not built for the Premier League either. When you play for France with Conte and everybody else around you, you look great. You're going to get great FIFA scores. Come and see if he could play in that Liverpool or City team. He wouldn't make the bench, guys. It's a elite Premier League, Man City, Liverpool. When you have Team Spurs flying or like a flying Leicester, it's a level that the rest of the Europe and international football is nowhere near, guys. Azaz, I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
I feel like the elephant in the room throughout all of this is the culture at Man United is toxic. Like at the end of the day, these players like Sean Maguire did still do decent for England, and they're not. Okay, yeah, they're not Man United players. They're not, but they're not also this bad. And like Wan-Bissaka, you know, like. I think Brian knows. Like, I have some family in Manchester, and I was there over Christmas, and I got into a car, and one of my cousin's friends goes, we got into a conversation, and the conversation was about Trent, and he had the nerve to say, if an alien team invades from Mars and we have to win, we don't want to lose, I'm putting Wan-Bissaka ahead of Trent.
You're not.
What?
Okay. All right.
One of them's arguably the best right back on the planet, and the other one is becoming a full blown failure.
Yeah.
I think you're doing that. Sorry, go ahead.
Wan-Bissaka was meant to be a defender. Like, we
Correct.
know he gets a nosebleed past the halfway line. We
Literally.
know that, right?
Yeah.
But like the thing is, there's something that's so toxic at the club right now. Like, it transcends multiple coaches. It transcends many world-class players. But there's players like Di Maria, Schweinsteiger, Ronaldo. Like, all these players have come in and they've been good before it. Some of them were good after it. There's just a lot of toxicity.
Right. I agree.
Toxicity at the club, and like, it's going to take a little bit to fix it, and it's not.
I agree.
Yeah, it's not Ragnick's fault. It's not Ollie's fault. It's not.
It's an accumulation of shit.
It is an accumulation.
I'd like to see the big wages.
Scenario, so I completely understand it.
The big wages and the ego. I'd like to see them all brought out and bring in your $30 million players who are going to work their ass off in training and are going to go out and put in a shift. Because there's, I would say, 75% of them redevelop it and I'm okay if they're willing to do it, but start it now and literally go to about 7 or 8 players in the summer and say, you're not welcome here anymore. And if you want to be here, we're going to put you in the reserves. It's not a nice place to hang out for 8 years like Phil Jones has been allowed to, right? Like at any other club, Phil would have said, see you later. It's time to get a little bit more ruthless and say, if you're not willing to fight for this badge that means a lot to a lot of fans and a lot of supporters, we don't want you here. We want to rebuild the winning culture we once had under Sir Alex. You're either on board or you're not. And all you have to do is look around you and look at Liverpool and look at City. A couple of years ago, Spurs under Poch. These are players that would go out, put in the hard yards, track back, follow the managers, get into a game plan, right? And we're miles off it. And I'm okay if the rebuild starts, but it's shocking to watch. It's tough to watch these days.
It's starting to feel to me, and it's starting to look almost like 15 years ago at Liverpool, when Liverpool were finishing between that 8th and 6th spot, 5th spot, they weren't breaking the top 4 anymore. It was like it's starting to look and feel like that Liverpool, where it's like Man U's getting losses here and there that they would never get. Players are quitting,
losing at Old Trafford too.
Losing at Old Trafford, fans are starting to turn, get a little toxic there. Players are a collection of players from 3, 4, sometimes 5 different managers, all different styles, and then you get a whole new manager comes in, and 4 or 5 guys they don't believe in the message the manager's giving, and so they ruin half of the dressing room. You gotta chop the limb off when it's rotten.
But Azaz is right though. You might not be the right player in the squad. You might not have the skill set that's required for that level or the expectation that team wants to meet. It doesn't mean you can't work hard. And a lot of them don't even do that. So bin them. And I kind of like Ragnick at the club, period, because he has no allegiance to anyone. And he looks at Ronaldo, he looks at McGuire, he goes, I don't give a fuck what the name is on the back of your kit. It doesn't matter. If you're not going to do what needs to be be you're useless to me and the club, and see you later. So the summer will be interesting. I think
this season too, Connie, is it's a limbo season. That he won't be the manager next season. Yeah, he'll still be with the club because he's he's gonna be up in the
but we don't know how much. Either.
Well, but my point is that a lot for players to get into a system that the system isn't are we gonna play in the system in a few months' time? Who's gonna manage? There's just a bit of a.
But Brian,
I would imagine a not knowing.
But you're playing. It's kind of like an audition, though, right? If
I agree. I'm not saying it's an excuse. Right? I'm just saying that's probably what's happening. Not that that's a good reason. It's kind of a shit reason actually, but it is arguably what's happening. So
it's been sad. So let's move to something positive on the Monday end. Holy shit, I watched every minute of this game, and we'll get into it in a second. But Spurs 5, Everton 0, and let's be very transparent here. You mentioned earlier, JP. I thought this could have been like 7 or 8. Like this was as good as Spurs countered, and then I know, Brian, I'm going to go to you in a second. That's when they're at their best. But Everton fucking let them, and oh my god, like it was wild. You were watching it, and it was 2-0, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be 4-0 in like 10 minutes. It was crazy, Brian. You must have loved it. You must have loved it. Every time we got
the ball, mate. Every time we got the ball, it looked like we were gonna score, like comfortably too. Not even like, oh, we're gonna break them down. It was just, oh, there's a ton of space, and you've got Kane, Son, and Decky running at their defense, who are all just going, oh god, this is fucked. They were just they were shambles. They were so fucking bad. I have not seen an Everton team that bad before. Like they started well. The first 5-10 minutes they were fine. Own goal. Keane is probably one of the worst center halves I've seen.
Terrible.
Play. He is so fucking terrible.
He is the fact that he's lost of confidence.
Still playing in a Premier League team right now.
It hurts me to watch him a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit sad. Like
that's it.
He looks sad. Like he looks like he's like he knows his career's over.
Dying inside.
But yeah, I mean, the positives of this game for Spurs, you can take some of it away in that. Yeah, certainly Everton were bad, but Spurs did everything right. The wing backs getting involved as much as they've gotten involved in the last 2 games in the league specifically, starting to see what Conte wants them to do, starting to respond to the style of play and the system that he wants them to play, and it's deadly. And those 2 key players that we bought in January have made a massive difference. For them to come in from Juve mid-season and to literally be like the reason why we are as good as we are, or a massive reason why, like. Bentancur in the midfield is slick as a motherfucker. That guy.
He was surprising me how quick and easy he's adapted to the. I knew Kulusevski would. He's a guy I wanted a couple of seasons ago. I was like, he's built for the Premier League. He always has been, and I think he's known that. He's wanted to get here, and you could tell it's obvious. But Bentancur, like, you're coming to a midfielder from Serie A. You're like, and we saw it with Saul Niguez coming from La Liga at the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. You're like, is this guy going to be able to keep up?
He does get caught a little bit with being a bit slow on the ball, and I think that's that Italy mentality. He's not used to being pressed as quick and having to pass as quick. But his feet are so good. He just like does what he wants with his feet. Like
the work rate is great.
They
from
both
him.
Run more than any other player in the team immediately.
Yes, you need that. We talked about it with United. You see it with Liverpool and City. You just need to put in the effort is part 1, and then it's your skill and ability and football IQ. Those 2 guys have come in and they said, we're at a new club. We're playing the Premier League. we want to keep our spots in the starting 11.
Decky's football EQ is super high. He is one of the smartest footballers off the ball. And just his the way he sees the game is incredible. At 21, I'm just like, bloody hell, we got a player here. Just one note.
Quick question.
Just one note before we move on from that, as well as Harry Kane passes Thierry Henry in goal scoring record at 176 over 175, one short of Lampard, the other coach in the game, which I thought was an interesting statistic. It would have been fun to see a hat trick and for him to tie him against him, which didn't happen. Harry Kane right now is fucking unreal. Unreal at the moment.
It's amazing what happens when he likes his football.
And he's come out and spoke about Conte and what Conte is doing for him as well. He's said this is the best football I've ever played. I feel the best on the pitch that I've ever felt. And that's good for Spurs' potential run for the end of the season.
Give the guy 200 mil in the summer, or he'll walk.
Give him whatever the fuck he wants.
Give him a blank fucking. Before we move on, can we just say, like, I was looking at the lineup here for Everton. I watched every second of this game. There wasn't one player on Everton who I thought put in a remotely deep. You could tell Richarlison wanted to get some stuff going.
He tried, but he was getting slaughtered. It was great.
The shape of their back line in midfield, like, I genuinely feel 5 goals is short of what it should have been 7 or 8. Like, it was so bad. It was crazy. Good for Spurs. Good for you, Brian. It's always fun. Like, unless you're like, I'm sorry, if you're a Liverpool or a City, you expect to win every week. When your team scores 5 and it's a 5-0, that's a fun weekend. Good for you.
Just a quick note: is Spurs have scored 9 goals in the last 2 games. So, watch out. It's starting to fire pretty.
Oh, I don't want to watch out.
Next, I'm literally speaking to you, Cody.
I am hearing you. I am hearing you.
Did you guys hear that Everton might get a points reduction? As well, breaking financial fair play.
But that won't happen this season.
It won't. Okay.
No, because
they might go down before that.
Well, they might go down, but the point deduction.
They might not even need the point reduction to go down, and then they'll get it next season.
I think it would be applied in the championship, but I'm not sure how that works. I think it does get applied in the championship.
Imagine if they get relegated, Everton getting relegated
with a brand new stadium being
built. Never been relegated. They've never been relegated.
They're one of 4 teams.
They've been in.
Would you lot throw a party? Would you lot throw a party if?
You'd probably feel sorry for you seeing your rival go down. Would be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you want to play them though too. You want to.
That's what I mean. That's right? It'd be weird.
That's it. I have to say that, like, I'm not sure when this has happened before for any other team, to be honest. The way, like, our 2 big rivals are really struggling.
We're a mess.
I'm sure actually, what am I even saying? I'm sure United have had fun with that, like in our lean years, and City were relegated to 2 divisions down. I feel it's such a bizarro world right now, because I remember last year Everton thought they won the league because they injured Van Dijk. It's
the sad state of affairs that is Everton right now.
Yeah, but I don't want Everton. I don't want Everton to go down, because I look forward to the game. It's usually 6 points for us, so I look forward to the game. I just think it's a quality Premier League fixture. I won't cry if they go down. Obviously, they are gobshites.
They're in serious trouble, though, guys. If they're in serious trouble if they go down. Financially, they're already in serious trouble. Well, obviously with the financial fair play, FFP coming into play, but they've spent already a shit ton of money. I don't know the exact numbers on a new stadium. Yeah, that I don't think they move into it for a couple of seasons, but to go down and then to have to pay for that somehow with championship money, like, it's just. It's an absolute mess. I could see them going down again if it like you see that happen. When it rains, it pours. It falls heavy. We saw it with Leeds. We've seen it with Sunderland. Other teams where you go down and then you just it just defeats the entire club. And how do you manage that when your financials are just a complete mess? Whoever's running that club is a fucking disaster.
As a team that went down and struggled to come back up, if Everton go down, it is not going to be a walk in the park, especially if a bunch of their guys start jumping shit because they're in the championship.
They're all gone.
They will.
They're going to lose most of their first team.
It's not like Brentford going down. If Everton go down, I would say 75% of the first team are getting moved.
7 or 8 players in that starting 11.
This is not a Juventus situation.
And it'll be a fire sale. It'll be cheap.
And that's why they'll struggle. They'll struggle to stay even in the championship.
Their remaining games are very hard too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's looking ugly for them. And,
Well, they've got one
Lampard-
game in hand on Burnley, and then 2 games in hand on Watford and Norwich. So they need to make advantage of those.
And they get Lampard to come in. It's a strange decision from the management there. He's not a manager who's used to fighting for relegation. You need a fucking. We all know who you need. There's like there's Allardyce,
Sammy boy.
There's 4 or 5 managers you get in that situation. They're in a pool. They're old. They can still do it. Hire one of them. Suffer. You've made really, really bad mistakes to get where you are.
They got 3 of the top 4 teams left. They're in trouble.
They're fucked. I actually think they're in worse shape than Burnley. Burnley are at the moment. I think Burnley
they're in
get
worse
out of
shape
it.
than Leeds or Burnley.
I think Leeds. I don't know about Leeds. Are a fucking disaster, man.
I think Everton's worse because their lineup.
If you get to play those 2 teams, there's goals. There's lots.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going here.
I think that's it for the results. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's. It's now time for the what we like to call the Ice at 8 official partner of the North End Star Player of the Week, and it is the one and only Mr. Kevin De Bruyne.
I'm going to the bathroom again. I can't watch this guy's face. He's killing.
You go to the bathroom again.
God,
Just
he's a handsome
get your
ginger.
cathedter there, buddy. What's going on?
I know.
I think we should send you a picture of him.
I had salmon for dinner. It's
2
not going down
goals,
well.
1 assist, 6 shots, just 5 chances created.
2 tap-ins.
A who scored rating of 9.9. I mean, he looked really, really good in this game. I think it's a good shout for him to be star player. I struggle with City having a star player at all, though, because it's like, you could pick any one of their players every week, and it's just how it's going to be. But Kevin De Bruyne is starting to look to me like he's starting to come back into form. He hasn't had an incredible season, but he still is an incredible player. And this was a game against a rival. Azaz, what did you think of his performance in this game and him in general at the moment?
Firstly, I'm living for the picture of like Maguire's face
in
on
the
that
background.
picture.
Yeah, right.
Amazing. I think you nailed it, Brian. I don't think he's had a great season, but he's a great player. He's like a world-class midfielder. I can probably say this before Connie gets back, like how people have compared Bruno to him is just absurd. Mind-blowing, because this guy's a magician on the ball and he dictates football matches.
He
and
does what he wants, basically.
Yeah. And Bruno's obviously been a hit for United, and he's more of like a moments player and a clutch player. And you can drag a team to the next level by doing that. But like, I don't think you can really compare those kind of players to people who literally run the match. Like this guy runs the game. World-class player.
I still think Kevin De Bruyne is the best midfielder in the world right now, even coming back from an injury.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think it's a hard argument to make. I mean, who else compares? I think when it comes to playmaking, you could throw Harry Kane in that conversation for what he's been able to do the last 2 seasons from a playmaking perspective. But Kevin De Bruyne is just like you said, as he comes on and he just runs a game. He just does what he wants. And
he's a complete midfielder. Like you look at players like him and Bruno, and I can hear everything. I got the AirPods. So 2 things. One, he plays in a City team where it'd be pretty easy for anyone, but he does more.
Out in that team.
He does more than Bruno, though. He does everything, and he probably is the best midfielder in the world. He does everything that's required. I worry as his career continues if he is going to continue to become a bit of an injury-prone player, because he's always injured all the time.
He started at a young age too. He's been a pro for a long time, and he's been a superstar for a long time.
You know what's scary? We'd all probably agree that Kevin De Bruyne's Man City's best player, but if he could be injured for half the season, they throw somebody else in and they still win just as many games.
Yeah,
that's the most messed up thing about that. Yeah, but if you took Salah out for half a season,
oh my God,
would Liverpool have the points that they have right now?
No.
There you go. That's how good City's depth is.
Yeah, we're aware.
But Mo is arguably probably not. I mean, I think if the Ballon d'Or was being given out tomorrow, you'd hand it to Mo Salah right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Mo is we touched on it the last time I was on. Mo's so many things, like the goals this season, the assists as well. But the biggest thing is he is his own kind of playmaker because he's always got 2 to 3 men on him. So yesterday against Inter, you're watching the game and he's like the space that Mane and Jota have got, because Bastoni's on him. They've got Perisic on him. And like, he can't have the ball without 2 and sometimes 3 players on him. So really, not only is he contributing from a perspective of he's making the game like 9 versus 8 in our favor most of the time, then he's also scoring, and then he's also making assists. So
we're talking about Kevin De Bruyne here. What happened?
It's like you turning something into Kane or Spurs. I loved it.
Kevin De Bruyne, a picture on him.
I was asked about Salah.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. He was asked.
I'm
He was asked.
I'm kidding.
Can I also give a quick shout out? Who was it? Danny Ings got a goal.
I knew you were gonna. I knew you were gonna say that.
I wonder what his who scored rating was, because I've never looked at who scored. You guys always get that done. I wonder what his rating was.
Well, you can check it right now. You've got a computer right.
Probably not 9-9. Probably not 9-9, JP.
Probably not a 10, yeah.
But a great game though.
All right, well, let's move on, guys. That was the game week, and that was Kevin De Bruyne winning the Isolate. So Isolate, he gets a whatever lady he wants from Isolate. That's
He's
Paul,
married with children, but if he wants to step out on that marriage, that's fine.
He may be bored. You get bored
There
as a
you go.
footballer. You want to have some fun on the side. You get your Isolate going. You're good to go. So cheers, Isolate, for supporting us. I'm going to get into this slide real quick, guys. We're going to do this. I'm going to go through this fast. Rather than spend too much time on it. These games are still to play. They're makeup games. Brentford. This is. I think Paul may have messed up the graphic on the side, so ignore that. Norwich and Chelsea tomorrow at 3:30 our time. Comfortable for Chelsea here, I think. Shouldn't be a problem. Newcastle, Southampton. This is a big game, I think. These are two teams that are going to go at each other. Probably similar level. Newcastle, better run than Southampton, but Southampton having a pretty good season. I expect a good solid 2-2 draw here. I think it'll be a fun game to watch, but nobody's really going to be that much better than the other team. Wolves, Watford. Wolves need to get one back here. Now's their chance. They need to get rolling again. It's not been pretty. This is one for you, JP. You got Leeds. Looking for some good times here. You guys got 4 goals last game. Looking for 4 goals this game.
4 goals last game we just played. When we played Leeds just a few weeks ago. We scored 3 on them pretty easily. I think we'll be a little bit more defensively sound. It'll be interesting to see if some changes are made to the team. But I'm hoping for a win at Leeds. And Danny Ings had a who scored rating of 9.0 last game. So
what are you doing for this
Christ.
game? It's not that early for you. Right?
It's 11:45 for me, so I'll be working.
But it'll be lunchtime.
But it'll be lunch, so I'll have it on the tally. I'll have it on the computer, and then I have to go teach another teacher's classroom. So I'm also going to have it on in that room while I just watch kids do work. So
America's education system at its best, folks.
Yeah, there it is. That is fantastic.
Well, we have a sub. You don't make the sub teach a subject they don't know.
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah,
I agree.
That doesn't make any sense, does it?
What I could do damage.
All right. So let's get into the actual game week this week, starting Saturday. How do we want to do? Connie, you want me to do this? Or you going to do it?
Yeah, you do it. Let's go through them.
Let's go through. We got Brighton versus Liverpool. Azaz, you got a pretty. I think this is a good fixture to come back from what you just had when it comes to a team you can score against. Brighton like to have a lot of the ball, but aren't going to be used to doing that against the Liverpool side. So, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling about it?
We're not great on the early game, to be honest, most of the time.
Ooh.
Does that say 8:30? Because I think it's 7:30.
It says 8:30. If it is, it's we're incorrect.
Yeah.
We apologize for that.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I think so. It's the 12:30 games. We're not great in those games, to be honest with you. We've actually dropped 4 points in those games this season. So Brighton. If Brighton were on form, I would probably be a bit more fearful of this game. I feel like because it's the slump that they're on.
4 in a row they've lost, right? It's not,
4 in a row, yeah. Coupled
great.
with the wake up slap in the face that we got against Inter as well. I think that's probably the thing we needed. So I'm not sure we'll run riot. Just because I feel like there's a few things we're just running on empty on certain things as well. Because we've had games every 3 days.
Playing a lot, sure.
A lot, yeah. So, I expect us to win, but I don't think it's going to be overly comfortable. But I still think, I still think we'll win.
I feel like it's got 2-0 written all over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2-0 seems right.
Yeah, for sure. We got 15th place Brentford versus 18th place Burnley. Both teams kind of fighting to get out of that relegation spot.
Yeah, this is a tight one.
11 a.m. on Saturday. Yeah, it's gonna be a difficult one for both teams, I think. Connie, any thoughts on Brentford versus Brighton?
I'll tell you what, Everton will be watching this one pretty closely, won't they? But I mean, listen, if maybe Brentford can keep it going here, put some pressure on Burnley, but
Burnley still have 2 games in hand on Brentford too, so there's there's a chance to, if they win one of them, they're much closer.
For me, this one really is, you could flip a coin depending on what team shows up with these two, right? There's no consistency, but just to make it interesting, I'd like to see Burnley get something out of it.
I could see a draw from this.
Yeah, I think it's got like 1-1 written all over it. For sure. Azaz, you got anything to add, buddy?
I mean, it's a big 6-pointer, that's for sure. Like, I feel like anything in these relegation matches, like they're playing each, because we've got one later on as well, like Leeds v Norwich. I would personally fancy Burnley to get out of this, and I think it will start tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. I can see it. All right, well, we've got probably arguably the game of the week when it comes to what it means for the league at the moment. Manchester United hosting Tottenham Hotspur at Old Trafford. 13:30 start. 13:30. I think he's got some. Paulie had some issues with the type.
Who cares about the times? They're playing on Saturday.
It's Saturday 12:30.
Late game.
It's just a big game. How are you feeling there, buddy? I gotta ask you. What's
well, we just got slapped by one of our rivals, and you lot just won 5-0. So I mean,
2-point difference between the teams at the moment.
Yeah.
I think we're on the same. We got 2 games in hand on you as well.
Well, one team's playing well, and they've got some new signings, and they got a manager that's clicking, and the other team has a new manager who realizes that he's got a bunch of dog shit players and he can't find anything that works.
I'm going to give a little bit more analysis on it because I'm going to.
Do I feel good? No, I feel like we're going to lose.
I'm going to make it a little bit more technical. Manchester United will not sit deep against Spurs. The way to beat Spurs is obvious. Any team that sits deep against Spurs beats Spurs because Spurs don't know how to break anybody down. If Man United tried to play on the counterattack here and let Spurs have the ball, we'd lose. That will not happen. So you will probably be very open. If you're very open, we're going to destroy you.
If he has half a brain, he will play the counterattack knowing that. For all the reasons you just said. Get the young guys on the wing and maybe even play with a false 9 and load up your defense. Like get an Elanga or a Rashford or just get some width. I want to see Ronaldo, and no offense, don't want to see him anywhere near this game for all the reasons you just said. Load it up, get the low block and play on the counter. We've done it against Spurs before and it's worked. You've done it against us before and it works.
I just wonder about your manager right now, though. If Ragnick's going to do that, right?
I don't think he does do that. That's not his style. He's like very pragmatic and believes it should be played a certain way. But if he hasn't learned by now, the squad he has isn't capable of playing that way. So any very good manager will adapt to the opposition. But I'm not going into this feeling good. Like if you get Son, Kane, and Kulusevski moving up there and getting the ball to them, and they put pressure on that back line, I mean you're fishing with dynamite.
I think we could be seeing another 4 or 5 goals from Tottenham in this game.
Well, let's not get crazy, but maybe.
This is gonna burn me for sure. I'm gonna see you for the next podcast and be like, why did I say that shit?
I could see Spurs getting 3 points here.
You guys have any JP? Oh, sorry about that. I escaped that.
It's weird because I've heard a few different podcasts bring up how Rashford should be playing a little bit more because of his speed and his technical ability, and I understand that viewpoint, but he looks like dog shit.
Correct.
He hasn't played well all year,
so
I don't understand why people think he's going to be a game changer for United.
I think just speaking about the last game, JP, I think the thought is that they needed pace in the side.
That's right.
Right.
And he would be the only player that would have offered that, despite him being crap.
100%. But it's like it's starting to make me think of like Dan James. Like he scores 1 of 30 of his attacks because he's inconsistent, and I feel like Rashford is in a really bad spot. I think the smart move would not be to play Rashford. It's to get him some freaking help.
It's a shame though too, right? Because you look at him and from a technical standpoint, ability-wise, He's got. We all know Rashford's got technical ability. The thing that kills me the most is two things when I see him. You see his decision making, and I was called football. Football IQ. His is it's starting to become clear. It's supremely low, and you can't play in at a high level elite team if your football IQ is low. And then second, when something goes wrong with him, you can see his body language. Like he just doesn't. He moans. He sulks. So those two combined, you can have all the pace
Never
and
get
ability.
you anywhere. You got that kind of.
It's
attitude.
never. And honestly, I think putting him on the field hurts him right now more than anything. Get it figured out on the training field. Get a sports psychologist because, my God, it's not just about him making an impact for United. This is a young man's career. Like he's doing a nosedive right now, and it's almost borderline sad to see. So
not borderline, it is sad, and we're not against you. I mean, I like it when teams who are playing against are shit, but it's hard to watch. I think there's something about him too as a human, right? He's done such good things, off the pitch that you're rooting from a mental health perspective because you don't want to see anybody who's a good human who's going through stuff like that. It's difficult.
Apparently, he went through like a bad breakup earlier this year, so I don't know if that's. But these guys are human beings too, and stuff happens off the field as well. So we'll see what happens. I'll be watching, white knuckling, probably screaming at my telly. Maybe I'll turn this one off as well. We'll see.
I'm hoping to be messaging you and taking the piss a little bit.
Just one thing on this. This was 6-1 last year.
I know. That's the Harry Maguire mega performance, and was this also the Martial red card as well from Lamella, who's no longer there. So we'll see. I mean, I think Spurs, if they can get it right tactically and Rangnick falls into it,
I think our tactics will be fine. They'll be what they will be. It's whether Rangnick will adjust. And I
would play with a false nine with Bruno getting width from the wings.
You guys are fucked, basically.
Because I wouldn't mind going at your back four either if we can get that. It'll be interesting.
Romero and Dyer have been brilliant right now. Davies been playing.
They've been good, but I still don't super rate them.
In the last 2 games, mate.
That's
I rate Romero.
Romero's good.
Dyer, whether you love him or hate him previously, he's having a very good season.
He really is. I'm shocked at how good he's been sliding into that center back role.
Yeah, he's done amazing.
Very good.
Let's move on.
We go Saturday. That game.
Saturday, March 13th. We got 5 10 a.m. fixtures in a row, and then a 12:30. We'll start with Chelsea Newcastle. Newcastle. I mean, this has got. I think it'll be a good game to watch. I know that Chelsea are a much better team than Newcastle, but Chelsea aren't consistent right now, and aren't necessarily playing at the level that we know they can play.
They just smashed 4-0.
I know,
it doesn't matter. It's
consistent.
Newcastle are playing well. Newcastle are playing well, and this is one of those games where you wouldn't be blown away, JP, if Chelsea walked out with a draw.
And Burnley held Chelsea to 0-0 at halftime, and they had like one chance on goal. So there is a way to make Chelsea uncomfortable.
On the counterattack to your guys' viewpoints, I just think the style of play that Newcastle play is going to fall right into Chelsea's hands. Chelsea's going to keep the ball, wear them down. They got too much talent, too much movement up top. I don't think Newcastle's defense is particularly quick. I feel like there's a lot of space in behind them, and I think this one will be a 3-0 Chelsea win.
In theory, it likely could be, but who knows with
I think
how
Chelsea
Newcastle
will win.
are playing.
I just don't think it's a simple necessarily, especially with Newcastle's form. Depending on what happens tomorrow too. Newcastle win again tomorrow. They go. The confidence gets higher. You're gonna feel pretty good. And Chelsea's as a club right now are in turmoil. And that gets into the players. It's not as simple as necessarily showing up and at your day job every day and everything's kosher. When things are the way they are, it's difficult. Speaking about difficult, Everton, Wolves, 2 teams right now that are struggling. One in particular that we spoke about earlier. Everton looking like the potential for the drop. Big game, guys. Big game. Connie.
Wolves all day. Everton are going to continue to crumble, and Wolves are going to want to bite back after that Crystal Palace
Everton
result
at home are much
they're better than that.
Than they are away.
They're a shambles.
Not at home. They aren't. They nearly held City in a game where they played very well.
They didn't deserve to lose that.
They didn't.
Game.
And didn't get the handball call.
No,
they played very good at home in that game. I think this is not that simple. I think this is a very close.
If Michael Keane starts, I'm betting on Wolves.
I think it's a close game.
I could see Raul Jimenez though doing some nasty shit to that center back pairing of Everton. I mean, he could be slapping those guys around like they're terrible children. He could just kill them.
This is a 10 a.m. game I'm going to watch. I'm excited to watch.
Is this the one you're going to watch? Yeah, I'd like to everybody respond as we go through which ones you're going to watch if you're going to.
This one for me, if I'm being honest.
Mine's an easy pick.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. We're gonna get to that. Leeds, we got Leeds Norwich in the next game. Another game that is like, what is gonna happen in this game? Because Norwich struggle to score, but nobody struggles to score against Leeds. I mean, Leeds are just like, it's like, here you go,
Pookie 1-0.
I can see it 1-1.
I think it'll be. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's gonna be a tight.
1-1.
Leeds leak more goals than that.
Norwich, though?
Pookie.
Yeah, but both teams are like, this is our chance to win. So
Bamford's back, I think. I don't know if he'll start, but Bamford should be back.
If Bamford's back, I'll take Leeds. Check
out the record on these two teams. Though Leeds have lost their last 5 in a row, and Norwich have lost 4 out of their last 5 with a draw.
Jesus Christ!
These are two teams that form is just fucking
but
shambles.
Leeds is playing on Thursday,
Shambles.
right before. I think Norwich is too.
I think both teams play Thursday. Yeah,
They both play Thursday.
Yep.
Leeds played really well against Leicester. We didn't say that before. We went more with the score and Harvey Barnes and stuff. Like, Leeds did not look bad against Leicester. They actually deserved to win that game. So I feel like this could be the perfect game for them to almost turn it around as well.
Dan James 1-0.
Good shout for sure. All right, next up we got anybody watching that game first of all? Leeds Norwich? No.
Fuck no.
Southampton Watford, another 10:00 game. Southampton again. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But they've had a good season.
They've struggled the last few weeks.
But it's just inconsistency from them. They'll have like a good game. They'll have a good first half and a shit second half. They're just not even consistent in game and not consistent this season. So you're not quite sure which one's going to show up. They might get spanked or they might be really, really difficult to play against. So
Watford's a good game to bounce back against, though, right? If you're Southampton,
it is. And Watford, arguably, we must assume that Watford have they're on the golf course to somewhat already, right?
Yeah.
You'd expect them to be there. Like they're just not looking like remotely coming close to getting out of that. It's just Norwich that are below them. So yeah.
What about this next one? When Villa are going to get?
This is the battle of the claret and blue here. We got West Ham versus Aston Villa. It's at West Ham.
Yeah.
Comfortable.
I'm going to watch.
Comfortable for West Ham.
I think
comfortable.
This is a better game to watch. I don't. Yeah, he's just taking the piss. I think this is a better game to watch, but for me, this is the 10 o'clock. I think I'll tune into.
This is probably the one on paper that you would want to check out, but on paper, you'd also say that West Ham probably have the better chance of winning it as well, like by not a good margin, but if all 4 of us were betting on this, maybe minus you, JP, we'd put money on West Ham, would we not?
I want to hear something crazy.
Yeah.
About this game. So if Villa win this game and were to win their games in hand, they're like 2 or 3 points behind West Ham. So if you think about how crazy West Ham are rated this year, and deservedly so, they've deserved that respect. I find it crazy how Villa have changed managers. There's been a Stevie G high. There's been a Stevie G rot. Now it could potentially be another Stevie G high. Yeah. But if Villa win this game and win a couple of extra games, they're right behind a team who's had a phenomenal year.
That is wild.
A phenomenal year, but on a bit of a dip too, though. They have started to dip. 6th place.
They have. Yeah.
They were in 4th a little while back, and now they're. What is it? They've got lost the last game, 1 win, 2 draws, and a win. Both teams again inconsistent. It's hard. It's a hard one to sort of pick. But I think Villa with the 2 wins in a row probably have, for me, like from a momentum perspective, are looking like they're playing the better football. But you don't know which West Ham's going to show up, so it's going to be hard to tell.
Yeah,
too much quality for me on West Ham, like Bowen, Rice. Villa. Did you
watch that last Villa game, man? They looked they looked scintillating.
West Ham defense is strong, though, man. They're similar to Wolves in that aspect. They don't give up a lot. Coutinho, I think, will have to be the key in this game if he can really keep creating with those other guys around him. That's the key for them getting a win in this game, and it could happen because Coutinho's been brilliant since he's been back.
I can't wait for this game. I think this is going to be a slugfest. The first time we played West Ham this season, West Ham spanked us. Like they kicked the shit out of us, and I just can't wait to see Villa go back. We kind of like to play away from home. I just feel like it kind of takes a little bit of the stress off Villa's shoulders. So. If I'm a betting man, like the numbers are going to be with West Ham, but I can't wait for this match. I could see a 2-2 like slugfest. So
we'll see.
Yeah, I think there'll be some goals in this as well. I'm gonna vote to watch this, and I think Villa have more than West Ham right now. And that's also, there's a part of me that just wants West Ham to lose because it's fun when they lose, and they're ahead of us in the league at the moment.
Cat lives matter, baby.
Come on,
Cat
Villa, up
lives
to Villa.
matter.
Up to Villa. All right, we got a 12:30 game. We got Arsenal at home, welcoming Leicester City. Interesting game, this one. Arsenal, form wise, they've won 4 of their last 5, unbeaten in their last 5. Leicester City have won their last 2, who were on a bit of a dip previous to that. Everybody was kind of wondering what was happening with them. Was Rodgers going to get the sack because they kind of fell off pretty heavily there? Started to get back some of their players back, and it looked to me like a little bit more of the team that we'd expect them to be. Not in that top 5 or 6 where they were last season, but starting to play football again. And they've got, like I said, Harvey Barnes is back. They just look a little bit better. Interesting game. I think this will be a cracker as well. I'm looking forward to watching it.
You wouldn't be blown away if Leicester came away with 3 points in this game either, right? If Leicester put their best effort forward, Leicester can go toe-to-toe with almost anybody, right? It's just which Leicester are we going to get on the day? Exactly.
As long as they're fit, and they have massive issues with injuries this season. I think that's any team that misses some of the bigger players that they've missed are going to struggle.
Yeah. Their key is when they can play compact defensively. That's when they're successful. It's when they're leaking goals all the time. So, I mean, this one is intriguing to me. I'm excited. I want Leicester to get something out of this, and it's not just because Arsenal top 4 and all that. It'd be nice to see Leicester get back to kind of up the table where they belong.
I don't give a shit about Leicester. I just want Arsenal to lose.
Clear and transparent.
Nothing to hide.
I have a little dig against Brendan Rodgers, so I'm okay seeing a quick 3-0 slapping by Arsenal to them. So we'll see.
Ugh, gross. All right.
Azaz, what's it like when you hear an American say 3-0 instead of 3-0? Are you just like, mate, what you on about?
He's been here long enough.
No, I don't mind it. Honestly, like, I'm the opposite, to be honest with you. I get annoyed when Brits are like, don't call it soccer. And
It's a culture thing. We grew up playing soccer.
That's not just Brits. I don't like it when people call it soccer, mate. So it's
fair enough. And you know what? The thing is, if a Canadian or an American has that stance, I am a lot softer on it. But when a Brit does it, it just annoys me because at the end of the day, this is the world game.
The pompous Brit.
It's inclusive.
Yeah, and I used to live here where I am right now in the UK. I used to live here when the big NBA boom was happening with like Michael Jordan, Shaq, early to mid 90s. And like, I just don't remember, I was obviously young as well, but like, I just don't remember it being like, so like hated on from abroad. Like people from America were just like, oh, you guys like the NBA? Oh, that's cool. Whereas like I can see this like British people being like, oh, well, like they don't know our sport and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, so, it's very
I think it's just it's the nomenclature, right? It's the terms, right? When you hear someone say 1-0, or when you see,
all right,
someone
Connie,
say,
you took us off the rails there, buddy.
I did. I mean, there's one more game left, and I think we all know what's going to happen in it.
It's a pretty obvious one. Palace hosting Man City.
17-0.
This is not looking good for Palace here. I think it's a relatively easy one.
I don't know, Azaz. You think Crystal Palace can help you out here, mate?
Crystal Palace away. Firstly, Crystal Palace beat City twice last season.
They did.
I know.
Home and away, and also Crystal Palace also had a really big say in that title race in 2013-14 away. It was when we were 3-0 up and we dropped it to 3-3. So I feel like, I don't know, like
they owe you.
Park,
it's a magic
Selhurst Park is a magical ground. Honestly, like the crowd is rocking. Night game, it's possible. Maybe it's also Richmond FC's ground. So maybe there'll be some like Ted Lasso vibes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what?
Love that.
You know what the thing is, it's the hope that kills you, mate. It's the hope that kills you.
Believe, right? Like
you have
to.
You have to believe.
Welcome to the hope. The hope that's killing me. All right, so we've got a few more games here, though, guys. We've got
holy shit.
Yeah, this is the Wednesday games. This is a double game week, as we say in the fantasy, as Paul always brings out. These are makeup games as well, I believe. So we'll just quickly go through them. If you've got any Spurs players in your team that or in your fantasy team, get them. Or if you don't, get them in.
I'm bringing them in.
Yeah, bring them in. Kane was my captain last week, and he's bringing me points. It's good. I'm moving up the table. Brighton hosting Tottenham. I think this is just going to be another comfortable game. This is our
It's right in your hands.
Yeah.
It's the only issue here is, and this is a big issue. I don't know if you guys have seen this statistic. Let me bring it up. I stated it, or I saved it. It's a difficult one because
Brighton at home though, man.
Days between games. I know, but days between games for Tottenham in all competitions this season. All games under Conte, 5+ days. They've won 6 out of the 7. So 3-2, 2-1, 2-0, 2-2, a draw, 3-2, 3-1, 3-2. Last 7 games, 4 days or fewer, where there's no space in between. 6 losses, 1 win.
Fuck.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so
that's a big stat.
That's a ridiculous
huge.
stat. Yeah, and so I'm worried because of that, because I'm worried about fitness, and I think it comes down to just the way Conte likes to coach. He has a high expectation of fitness, and you saw that when the Spurs got knocked out against Middlesbrough. They looked like they had cement in their feet, just so tired. And I worry about this game for that reason.
I think a lot of it'll depend too on what happens in the United game. If you win that game and you come out, confidence will be high, Bri, in the team and in the squad, and they might be able to carry that into this game too. And that's what you want, right? Because Conte doesn't accept Conte's energy is the highest you'll ever see out of any manager, which is why I love him. He demands a high level, but you're right. You even seen him after those losses, and that stat's very telling. He's beside himself at the performance. So I think this game will be dependent on what you do the game before. And I mean,
it's kind of been Spurs season. The ups and downs have been just absolutely bonkers.
You're trending.
I worry about this because this is the only week, unless when the Arsenal one gets rescheduled, it runs into this situation as well. The only one game where we have for the rest of the season for the next 13 games where there's a game like 3 days after the game we play. So I don't want that trend to continue, but it's hard to argue that it's going to. So
I think Brighton at home are sometimes tough as well too.
Yeah,
right?
they
so
love to keep the ball, so that could be good for us too. Though if we're flying like we've been flying with another team having the ball and counterattacking, we'll have a chance. But it'll be interesting to see. Next game up, we got Arsenal Liverpool. This is a huge game for both sides of the table. Big game on the Wednesday. Zaz, what are your thoughts coming up against Arsenal? This will also depend on what happens with them.
Reality check for Arsenal coming
and
up.
For you guys too.
Reality check for Arsenal.
So we play the early game on Saturday, which I said we usually struggle, and Arsenal play the late game on Sunday. So that piece of it,
a little bit,
so that piece of it might work in our favor, but obviously the thing that works in their favor is that
3 games in a week.
Yeah, we have to win. Like we don't have an option.
The impetus is on Liverpool, but I think they will though, right? Like their dominance will come through. Arsenal have been, to Brian's point, they've been overachieving against a lot of these bottom teams. Yeah. When they do come up against the really good ones, I genuinely do think it is a reality check, comfortable for Liverpool.
100%. I think Liverpool are gonna smash.
I
can't wait. I'll be cheering with you, mate. I'll be texting you.
Cheers,
come on, Liverpool.
Same, actually.
I still don't think we'll smash them though. Like I think we'll win. I just feel like
it'll be tight.
We just have to get to the international break, picking up the points, and then maybe have like a few people have some time off. It's been relentless, and when you start to add like Mane and Salah going away as well,
AFCON,
like it's like I see like we're running with cement.
You've done well in that situation though, Liverpool.
Yeah,
very well.
Yeah,
impressive. For sure.
This next one's just as intriguing given everything that's occurred lately, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a meaningful game, right, with all the sort of like talk around it. Everton, Newcastle on Thursday. I mean, Everton again struggling. It is at home. Like I said, their home form is dramatically different than their away form. So I think that this game will be closer than you might have said had they been going away. I think Everton should have enough at home, depending on what happens in their next game as well. Because I think if they can get a win or a result and they could build on it, this game will be a different game completely.
But if they don't, lose, that's full implosion, right? Like this could be the implosion.
It's implosion. It's sack Lampard time kind of situation.
Yeah, if
desperate, situation.
Get Big Sam on the phone. That's what
honestly, I think if they lose 6-7 in a row, like this would be the 7th in a row if they lost.
The fans are turning already. Things getting very poisonous.
Ugly.
And while they play better at home, when the fans start to turn, players turn quick.
Mhm.
It goes to shit in a handbasket.
Their next game is so critical for them. Maybe the most critical for any team in the league right now is for them to get back on track because they are right on the bubble of relegation. They got games coming thick and fast.
And if you lose those games, that momentum or that lack of momentum, it what it's doing already. It's just it's tanking. Right?
Yeah,
Everton getting
there.
relegated is mind blowing to me. If they're trending toward, but it's crazy.
They are though at the moment.
If you
I know.
look at
Worst form in the
their
league.
Wild.
if you look at their form since early December, it is just fucking a plane hitting, going straight down.
Yeah.
I don't care. You get them on track. Get them on track. They're just trying to keep their heads above water. There's no track for them. They are freaking. They're that chick at the end of Titanic, like getting on the wood piece. Like they're just trying to survive.
What do you mean?
just
She had
think
enough.
you-
She had enough room to let Leo on there. That was selfish.
Hey, Leo.
Oh, jeez.
Leo.
You think of getting on track because we're not used to a club like this, of this weight and level to.
I feel because I
Definitely.
remember what it was like just watching this Villa team just implode on itself and just suck so bad. And you're just like, at a certain point, you're like, all right, let's go down. We can't do it with these players.
Yeah.
Just go down. Like, just end us. And it was so brutal. I'm sure there's Everton fans out there who are like, are we going down? And then there's some that are like, it's happening.
JP,
already
it's
happening.
different. The amount of investment in players and managers in this squad for them to get relegated is quite literally unacceptable.
It's not. No team is too big to go down. No
We'll see.
team is too big
Yeah, I
to
mean
go
that's
down.
what
We'll
relegation
see.
is all about. It's just shocking that it's happened to a team that arguably based on the investment, other than last season when they realized they spent way too much money. There's the managers that they've had, the last two managers that they've had are world class managers or had been world
Frank
class.
Lampard is not a world.
Well, I know.
You know what,
I'd say
guys?
The last two, not the one that's
Think
Oh,
about
okay,
it.
okay.
Think about it this way. Anyway, we just need the next couple of seasons to go on. We need Klopp and Pep to move on, and you know what?
Yep.
Just to recycle, and it'll all get back to normal. United winning titles all the
No, fuck
time.
United,
Not
Joe.
happening.
All right, well, I think that's a good way to
So-
end it, guys.
Yeah, on a good joke.
Did you want to add something before we go?
I was just going to say the evolution of Everton. It might be more of a deep dive in a future pod, but the evolution of Everton is fascinating as well because when the Premier League clubs break away, they're in the top six. Like they're one of the big six teams.
Yeah,
and going
for
into
sure.
it, they've just had the 80s where they've rivaled Liverpool for titles, and then in season 93-94 they survive on the last day of the season. By one goal, actually, they scored a wonder goal with 10 minutes to go. So it was 2-2. I think they were playing Wimbledon, and it was 2-2, and they made it 3-2, and that's how they survived. So
Jesus.
they've been here before, and they were used to be a big spending club as well, and now they're a big spending club again. So in that middle patch with like Moyes and other people, when they weren't one of the bigger spending teams, they were always safe, and sometimes they were
Always.
challenging. And so I think it's in the culture of their club to be very resourceful, to be gritty, and like not spend and build players and elevate youth. But whenever they get into this situation where they're spending money, even though it's like 20 years apart, it's that word with United we were saying before, again, culture.
Yeah.
I feel like it
Toxic.
just goes against the culture of their team. And now they're in this situation where, I don't know. I think JB said it before. Like, I don't know how they survive right now.
I don't think they do.
don't know.
No,
Yeah.
they always have had a bunch of grafters out there. They've never had
Yeah.
like eloquent
Well,
like top four players.
no,
So you're right.
mate.
Maybe they're trying to be something they're not. Maybe.
They had Gravison and they had two Gravisons in the same team. I can't remember who the second guy was, but they had two number sixes at the same time in Moyes' team that looked identical. So Gravison was the one who went to you know what? I'll remember it for next time. But like, that's their team. Their team is like gritty, like like Tim Cahill used to be their poster boy. He was like heading in corners,
fantastic,
Fellaini,
Yeah.
Seamus Coleman was a force back in the day. He's fallen off.
Yeah, I mean, they're all falling off.
They're old. They're dead. They're
it's
old.
a shambles.
Lee Carsley.
There we go.
Gravison.
Tried
Twins.
so
They were
hard.
like twins. Yeah.
Who else? The Norwegian kid that they had that used to just pop in with goals all the time. The skinny guy. Well, they used to have Sigurdsson, but they had like just enough to be around
Croatian.
6th or 7th. They were always in and around there, and now it's just falling off.
You know what we got to do, guys? We got to get an Everton fan on here. Do
We
you know
do.
Any, do you know any Azaz that you could get on with us, and we could find out how they're feeling, because that'd be a good episode to just kind of talk about
any that you like and that can be fair about the scenario and be honest, right?
Yeah.
See if you can find somebody, because it would be nice to get them on and get do a special and ask them 100%. Some hard questions, because right now I honestly I can't see them staying up. I really think just the form and the how bad it's going.
It's terrible.
Let's see what happens this weekend, guys, because this is pivotal for them and for 100%. A bunch of others. Every game now we're in crunch time, guys. It's that part of the season. Every game's a 6-pointer.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
On that note, that's a good way to end it, lads. It's been an absolute pleasure being here with you, gentlemen. Again, we'll be back. If you're watching the video, like and subscribe, please. It helps us with the algorithm. Send us an email if you want to get on the show. All of that fun stuff, and we'll see you guys soon. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
This is the North End. This is the North